In this video, I'm going to be talking about groups in p5.play. Groups are useful when you want to have a bunch of sprites share the same functionality. For example, coins in a game, where each coin will be, when the player collects it, it will remove itself from the game. So I have this set up here. It's just this blue square that the player can move around using WASD. And I'm going to make a bunch of coins kind of spawn in as the game progresses, being added to a group, and then have the player to be able to kind of collect all of those coins. So again, I have this code which allows you to have this player sprite that can be moved up, down, left, and right. So let's create a spawner. So let's have a count variable that gets added 1 to every draw function call. Then if that count number gets greater than 60, we can alter that number. Let's create a coin. So new sprite, and I'll just create it a random position. So 400, since that's our width, random 400, and a diameter of 10. We also want to reset coin to be 0, so after it hits 60, it makes a coin, it resets to 0, has to count up again before it creates the next. So we should now have just a bunch of coins here appearing every 60 seconds, except, oops, I forgot, I need to initialize my count variable to be 0, and now hopefully, yes, we will get the coins. All right, cool. Now I can just kind of push them around, which is not what we want. We want to be able to collect them all. So how can we do this? Well, you can use an array and then kind of loop through the array using either the colliding, or there's something called overlaps, another function that you can use. But I'm going to use a group here. And so the way to use groups is we can say let coins, and then I'm going to initialize the group in setup. So say coins, and you need to do this before you can start using the group. So say coins equals new group. That just says to p5.play that coins is now a group that you can then add sprites to. And then whenever we create our coin, instead of using this new sprite, if we say new coins.sprite, it will then add that sprite to the coins group whenever you create it. What this allows us to do is create a kind of like in setup. We don't actually need to do this in draw. We can create a function that gets called when the player, or whatever sprite we want, collides with any one of the coins. So the way we can do that is say player sprite dot, and this could be collides, or it could be so let's do collides first. Collides, and then we can say with the coins, so the group, and then the second parameter we want to pass in here, it could be a function that gets called when the player sprite collides with any one of the members of this coins group. So let's say let's call this collect. Now collect needs to exist, it needs to be a function, and I'm going to call that down here, function, or create this function down here called function collect. Now collect takes two things. First is the player, and the second is the specific coin that gets hit. Now we can these parameters, we can name them whatever we want, but that's what they kind of correspond to. In this case, the player is the first thing, and then the coin of that coins group that being hit is the second. So we can use those in our function to reference the two objects in the collision. So in this case, we just want to get rid of our coin, that remove, and again, since we named this the second parameter, which is the specific coin in the group, we can then remove that, assuming that we've kind of set up things properly here. Now if we run this, we should be able to go and get these things. Now one thing you may notice is that there is this little, since we're using collides, there is a physics collision that happens. That's what collides do. Using that function enables that physics kind of collision. Now for coins, we don't want any kind of physics. We just want to be able to kind of run them over and have them disappear. In that case, we probably want to use something called overlaps. So it's just a different function that kind of gets rid of that kind of physics collision that happens and just allows you to pick up the coins individually without the physics collision. And there's a whole bunch of other things you can do with groups. I recommend going to p5.play.org and clicking through Learn group here. You can also, if you just go to that Learn section, you can click through these or look through the documentation as well.